Welcome back to No Crime After Dark, where we have to talk about crime in the daytime because she's scary. Funny thing, funny story. It's definitely dark right now.
It
Definitely
is.
dark. It is absolutely dark. Um, it's been a month, y'all. It's been
It
a month.
has.
We need a whooping because this,
And I feel
this
like it was a lot. It was
it
back
was. I was
to
sick all
school,
last week.
right? And then it was just
Yeah,
going
technical difficulties. We tried to get on Facebook. Facebook wouldn't let us be
work
great.
for us.
Yes, we tried, y'all. We tried. Life been lifing, but we're back.
Right.
Was Carly Russell the last story? I believe so.
No. Yeah, she was. I think she
Okay,
was.
so a month ago when we was doing what we were supposed to do, we talked about Carly Russell and that whole fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
And we just gonna leave it at that.
Her boyfriend recently on the news too.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. They were just trying to say he was going to get clout in the drawer.
Her story, he trying to get clout off of it.
Yeah.
I can see that. If the story is true and she was trying to get away from him in the first place, I can see that.
Right. I could see at the start him being the topic of conversation and him having, something to say. We're still together at the time. But now it's just like come on now. I mean, if
we don't care. Like until she goes to court and gets convicted, we really don't care anymore.
And also, if we were talking about this and we wanted to like ask him questions and he was going to give us the information, of course somebody's going to ask to talk to him. So,
but he's still being. I mean, yeah, but is he giving the information though?
Yeah.
Cause I'm gonna say because they was all tight-lipped for a while.
Well, now, yeah, I guess in the interview he did now was like he was telling his not too much of like her, but just his side and what he, from what
I don't care. But I want to know why she left. I don't care what he got going on.
Well, I mean, he wasn't saying my life was like this. He's saying like, she called me then and this and that. Like he's telling his storyline. I mean, his timeline up until she faked it.
So this week's story
was last week's story, and it was
the week before, and the week before that. It's crazy because as many I got, it was like 20 something pages
of notes.
Let me see, 13, 15, 21. I got 21 pages. When I take notes, I take notes.
Oh, okay.
And then it took me a couple days to finish watching it too for that reason. I got 21 pages of notes. That I have to do that because like we be getting ahead of ourselves, so it keeps me in order.
Yeah.
But this month's story.
That's real.
This month's story is the girl in the picture. Melissa, I think, was the first person to tell me about it. Mm-hmm. And that was like earlier this year, I want to say. On Netflix, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it already.
Yeah.
I only have 21 pages of notes because, like I told you, like that last 30 minutes, I was so emotionally and mentally drained. After a while, I was like, you know what? Ty got it because I'm no.
Well, when it got to the end, it was more of like just filling us in with the real mom or whatever. So that's why I just wrote down what I wrote down, and I was like, oh, I'm going from there because I can talk all day about this right there, that moment right there. So I just did that. So,
this is a story about abduction, really. Abduction. Pedophilia, child molestation, child pornography, child prostitution. It's about everything you can do wrong with a child is literally what this story is about. The story starts, again, I hate when they jump all over the place with these timelines because the incident happened.
Well, this is how it all started.
In 1990, but what I'm saying is it happened in 90 when the accident happened, but they jumped back to the 70s.
Well, yeah,
I hate
they had to go back to. They wouldn't even have found her, or even until she had this accident. Like, so she would have been just.
This is also true, but I get y'all what I get. We get y'all what we can comprehend because they be all over the place with these timelines. They be killing me. I be like, really? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking we're getting somewhere, and then like 5 minutes in, we done jumped 20 years back. Like,
next time, this is a backward show. Get the timeline. We go back. Going back. Write your notes on your last page.
Right. That's right. So, late night, April 15th, 1990. 2 men were headed down the road and they see some debris
in Oklahoma City.
And next to that, what they think is debris, I now think it was probably pieces of the car, but what they think is debris, they find a blonde woman's body. Mm-hmm. Which goes to what she was just talking about. Why did it just do that? Sorry. Anyhow, they find her body and immediately call the ambulance like anybody with sense would do. She's rushed to the hospital. Now, I need y'all to just pay attention because this man got about 32 aliases.
Oh, I think I wrote those damn aliases.
He got his name is going to change a few times throughout this story, so just pay close attention. I don't know if this is going to need a part 2, but we'll see when we get there.
You can do it. So, first of all, they're gonna be like, we don't got time for a part 2 when y'all already
it's been a month. Get to the point.
Damn short.
Get to the point.
Right.
So she's rushed to the hospital. Of course, they call next of kin. Her husband, Clarence, shows up to the hospital and identifies her as Tanya Hughes. Now, Tanya was a stripper in Tulsa. Maybe it's just me, but it just seemed like places like Tulsa shouldn't have strip clubs. I don't know. Some places just seem too country to have a strip. I don't know.
He didn't on a farm all damn day with cows and chickens. You don't think he want to see some titties? He definitely want to see.
That's what you want to see your wife for. Call your girlfriend.
Yeah.
The little thing you met down at the trail ride. That you called out.
He don't want her. He said, "Oh no, that's too much work. You just want to go in and out. Get in, hey, throw his money and get out. He don't got time for all the other stuff." He don't want a romance yet.
But for whatever reason, Clarence felt the need to let them know she was a stripper and that they had a son named Michael. Now, the son, I could see him saying that, but why did they need to know she was a stripper?
Well, not only did he say that, but he was like, she's a stripper streetwalker. What? Why is that information that you needed to give? All you had
like, period. They didn't ask her occupation. They said, who is she?
What's her name? Her birthday, maybe. That's all you
right. Is she allergic to any medication? Like, what does her occupation have to do with what's going on right now? She just got hit by a car. Like, excuse me.
Yeah.
So one of the first things they noticed about Clarence is he looked to be considerably older than her. Mm-hmm. They said he was weird. The nurse was just like he was just weird.
A weird guy.
I like people that just straight to the point weird because that's me. Like, just weird. Yeah. So during the surgery, because again she got in an accident, I believe she was hit by a car. They didn't really specify. They just said a vehicle accident to be found on the side of the road. My assumption is she got hit by a car, mm-hmm. Or was killed and then thrown out the car. One of the two, or beat up and then thrown out the car because she's not dead yet. So while she's in surgery, they trying to get her together. They noticed she had some scarring and some bruising all over her body, on her arms, that showed that could have been domestic violence. That wouldn't have been part of the car accident or anything like that. Shortly after that, she dies. That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to get through the rest of this. That's the easy part. You can go ahead.
Well, okay, so she passes away. She's on the news. And one of her high school friends' mom is watching this news. And she says, Sharon's on the news. Sharon's on the news. She died. And she's talking about, what? Sharon's on the news. And they're saying her name is Tanya. But this is Sharon. So, of course, they look at it, and they're like, that's not who that is. That's not her name.
And to add to that, they called who they thought Tanya's mom was.
No.
And
what?
No. Yeah. Somebody from the hospital contacted who they thought was Tanya's mom.
Oh, yeah.
And the lady was like, girl, my daughter died 20 years ago. What did you talking about?
Don't call me. I've heard. I don't believe this.
Right. Run up my bill.
Yeah.
So
on the news they were saying her husband, but the high school friend was like, husband, that's her father. So now this is like unraveling into something else.
So it's just so many people. So I guess we'll start with Karen. Now, Karen was a coworker / acquaintance friend that worked at the strip club in '89 with Tanya. And they got close pretty quick. And they were both working themselves through college, or at least that's the story that Tanya told. Because I don't think she was ever in school after high school. I think he was just smutting her out.
Oh, yeah.
When they met, Tanya was married and had a son, but Michael, girl, his name did not already change. I don't know, Clarence to Michael. That damn
Clarence.
Clarence. He ain't changed identities yet. Clarence wouldn't let her go nowhere. She wasn't allowed to take the baby with her by herself. She wasn't allowed to go nowhere without him or the baby, essentially. And Karen even started noticing early on that Tanya had bruises on her body. Mm-hmm. And one day, randomly, Tanya shares with Karen that Clarence, because I got to stick with the name that he is right now, mm-hmm. Clarence took a life insurance policy out on her. Now, mm-hmm. here's my thing with life insurance policies. Everybody needs one. Don't get me wrong. But if we've been together X amount of years and you just all of a sudden get one, mm-hmm. and I ain't showing no signs of illness or nothing, I'm leaving. I am out of here.
I mean, I don't feel like she needed one at the age of 19, but
I mean, yes, you do, because you just never know what can happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was something that you would take out yourself at the age of 19.
Yeah, or your parents. But
that old ass man wouldn't took one out on me at the age of 19, sir. First,
because I think my grandmother had one on me at that age. Her and my dad, but yeah. I didn't pull it out, but they had one on me.
They seen that anything can happen with that life there.
They're like, Tatiana keep hanging out. Ain't no telling.
We might need to take one on Tatiana too. We have to let her know, because these two here.
We can split it with the family because we both going through pain and suffering here.
No,
no, they. I think they had one together for me, and it was weird. But I had insurance at that age because somebody else took it out on me. And actually at one point I was paying for my own, like in my early 20s. I was trying to be responsible and things.
Yep, nope, never had one. I just recently got one.
Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Anyway. Mm-hmm. So he pulls out a policy on her, and on April 15th, this is just all over the place. My notes are not good. I should have looked at this before.
You had a whole month. So Karen felt like that was weird. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's the part I didn't feel.
And then so Karen used to do private parties.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing sexual.
You're not even supposed to touch the men, is what I could get from it.
Right. She was like, no touching. It's just really there dancing, because
it was more like a gentleman's club kind of thing.
Because the clientele she had were very like high end clientele, I guess.
Yeah.
They were businessmen. So there was no type of, bad. I mean, that's what she's saying. I don't know what they really was doing, but that's what she was saying. And she said that Sharon.
Is she Tanya or Sharon still?
She's still Tanya. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's still Tanya. See, that's why I said keep up, y'all, because these names is gonna keep changing.
Tanya, the girl that was found in the road.
Mm-hmm.
She asked Karen if she could dance or she could be invited to these dances and perform.
No, the dad told Karen. Told Tanya to ask Sharon.
Yeah. She asked her, but told her, my dad is asking me to do this. And she was just felt like, why would your dad be asking you to do this? Like, whose dad does this?
That wasn't Karen. Right story, wrong person. This was when they moved to Florida that happened because they thought Karen was in Tulsa. Karen was in Tulsa. See,
the blonde hair lady.
Yeah, Karen was in Tulsa. The blonde hair lady. Okay, first we done got way too far ahead. So we're gonna touch back. We're gonna rewind, bring it back.
What happened in Tulsa?
Like I said, the storylines.
Oh my God!
I probably should have broke it down year by year, but no. I had a month. So we're gonna go back to the hospital. We're gonna go back there because this is where the whole thing they start the story. We just gonna go back to the hospital. So when Karen tried to go to the hospital to see Tanya, Clarence was telling people she was in the intensive care unit and she couldn't have visitors and nobody could come up to see her and blah blah blah. Karen was like, me or you? Was like, yeah, okay, so I'm finna go see my friend. Like, I don't care what you're talking about. So Karen went on up there anyway, and she noticed scratch marks. And this is after the nurses said they felt like foul play was involved, and Karen didn't even know that this had already been discussed. So she goes up there, she sees her friend, and they said, this is not funny, but they said she was in good shape for a hit and run. I don't even know what that means. Tanya was 20 years old when she died.
Yeah, she was.
So at the time, only her first name was put on the gravestone because after contacting the lady they thought was her mom, finding out that her husband's a weirdo, suspecting foul play, they just didn't even attach a last name because it was just not making sense. The math wasn't mathing in this case. That's when Karen and them found out Tanya wasn't Tanya. And that Tanya used to be Sharon.
And Clarence wasn't the husband. He was her dad. Right.
So Karen didn't feel like Michael, which is Clarence and Sharon's / Tanya's son. Mm-hmm. She didn't think he was safe with him. Karen was not wrong because he was not, but didn't think he was safe with him. When they told her Michael wasn't talking, I don't know if this was due to trauma or he just wasn't developed the way he should have been. I don't know, but there was something off that had Karen concerned about Michael's behavior at that time. Mm-hmm. So they advised the hospital, advised Karen to go to DHS, and in turn, they put him in foster care. Now his foster parents, they seemed to just love them some Michael. The way they talked about him, and like they said, there were some adjustments. He apparently was living off of Pepsi and junk food. So they're trying to wean him into a healthier style of eating. So Merle Bean and her husband, Michael, on May 1st, the day before Tanya passed. No. I skipped something. Girl.
I got Michael was put into foster home May 1st, 1999.
I got
1990, sorry.
Yeah, May 1st, 1990. Yeah. I don't know what that extra line is. The day before Tanya passed. Oh, so he was put in foster care the day before she died. Mm-hmm. I didn't make sense to myself right there. Mm-hmm. The day before she died and not too long before his second birthday. So he was still a baby when she died. So they explained that he would have tantrums because he was addicted to Pepsi. That's what they said, which is easy because it's caffeine. He was addicted to Pepsi. And they were trying to transition him to not drinking the bottle and off the caffeine-free products.
Mhm.
So it was a lot for him, I'm sure, at that time, because you just used to getting what you get. So they ended up having Michael for 4 years. And I feel like I know foster care is set up to eventually send the child back home.
Mhm.
But based on certain things, and especially if you've had them that long, I just feel like let them adopt them at that point. And the way they sounded is like they wanted to. But
well, it was Mike Clarence fighting for Michael because that's his son. Because that video they played of him in court talking about how you can't take a father from his child. I'm all he has. Anyways, then that's when they started doing their investigation, because now they're investigating this 20-year-old's murder or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think at the time he was getting supervised visits too.
And Michael didn't want to go back. When it was time to go see Clarence, Michael was like, I don't want to go. He was starting to talk more. And when he would come back, he would be very quiet because he didn't want to be there. He would throw tantrums. He did not want to go with the man, Clarence. Then they end up giving a DNA test. And he ain't the daddy.
He wasn't the pappy. He was not the pappy. So yeah, you went right through that next set of notes for me.
I wrote, he ain't the daddy.
Nope, that was it. I put Clarence is not.
I said Clarence ain't the daddy. Visit stops. No more visitation.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dissolving all visitation rights.
Right.
So on September 12, 1994, Karen noticed a random vehicle like circling her parking lot by her house. And I don't know why when people see stuff like that, they don't call the police or say something. Like, yeah, I'm in an apartment now, but when I was in my house, if it's a vehicle on my block that I'm not...
You're talking about the adopted mom or the
adopted mom.
She did it. She said she called the social worker to ask what kind of car that man drove, and that was the car, and that he was outside. And then they said, oh, well, as long as he ain't coming in, like, what can they really do?
Yeah. But that's still stalking. See, thank God for laws changing, because again, this was in the early 90s. So a lot of stuff that they probably ignored then they would probably pay more attention to now.
I'm surprised they live out in Oklahoma. They didn't have a gun. I would have shot his sister. I mean, until
you threatened, you really can't just be shooting at people.
I'm threatened that you keep.
But he's like in the car, like the next house over. That's like how. It makes sense to me in my mind, but the law is gonna say you should have kept your ass in the house. That's what they gonna say.
I ain't waiting for him to come. You got to get him before they get your ass. So he won't be walking up.
Sometime around that time, I don't know why my notes are this scattered. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. So after she sees the car that matches Clarence's car circling around, it was reported that a man was being tied to a tree. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this that same day, or was this within a few days of that?
No, it's the same day.
Okay, so that's why that's why I threw it in there like that little seasoning. Mm-hmm. So also that same day, a suspect walked into school. Again, times have changed, kind of. Because people still somehow...
94, you can still... 94, you can walk in a... like there was...
Columbine happened in what, 97, 98?
Because you can
walk into school. So I guess that's not the same.
You can walk into school. Now you got to be like buzzed in. What you want? You got to know.
No, for real. If you ain't on the list, if the parent didn't call in ahead of time. I remember when I was in elementary school, we had this side gate at Longfellow. Mm-hmm. And it stayed open the majority of the day. It was like the delivery gate where they would bring all like the lunch stuff in or whatever. Yeah. It stayed open at least half of the day, every single day. It's a wonder none of us got snatched up during recess or lunchtime. And it was crazy because to go back 20-something years later, and Tisha was going to the same school, I had to be added on the list. I couldn't get in no other way except through the office. I had to sign in. Like, it was locked down. I'm like, where? Y'all wonder why millennials, they try to call us geriatric millennials, but go to hell. Why millennials is so thugged out? We didn't have protection, people. We were latchkey kids. You're talking about a whole generation of latchkey kids. Didn't nobody wait at the house for us. Wasn't nobody picking us up and dropping us off from school. We didn't get rides to the skating rink. We was on the bus and on foot. Unless you happen to have a friend with a car, that's how you got around. Yep. No cell phone. You just in these streets.
Yep. Make sure you leave at 9:00 because I know what time you're supposed to be here.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. The bus will stop running.
And then I missed that bus. Okay. Because you had about another 30 minutes.
Right.
You're going to be good.
Because the math better math. Because, okay, you missed that bus. Why you wasn't on the next one?
Yeah, no.
We was out here in real survival mode. So I can only imagine what our parents had to do. But we was really out here in like, come back when the street lights come on. You all over the city.
Yeah.
For hours.
Just going. Guess I'll head back now. Oh my
girl, no, they wouldn't survive today. So, a suspect walks into the school and said he was there to get his son. Now, sure, it's not hard for us to figure out who said suspect was. And then he pulled a gun partially out of his pocket and said that he wanted to get Michael. Of course, it was Clarence. And this is the principal he shows the gun to and was like, I'm here to get Michael, and you finna help me do that. So he essentially takes the principal hostage. And he said he was willing to die if the principal did not help him. He wasn't going to get out alive. It'd be the audacity for me. Because I understand your frustration, but what does it have to do with me?
Right.
I'm just here doing my job. I wasn't even at the court case. I don't even know what's going on for real. They gave the principal the bare minimum. He can't come get him. This is the reason why, and that's it. He's not a legal guardian.
I can't say that because, I don't play around people's kids. I think I don't like that. So for me, sir, he didn't come to school today.
That's the thing. So I was about to say, when I was working
you are not allowed to see him, and then you got a gun.
He's not here. Where is he? I don't know, but he ain't here.
I see is dangerous. This is dangerous.
Yeah, and that's like when I was working at a daycare. There was a custody issue. The kids had got taken away from the mom for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. The mom was trying to come to the school to get the kids. We can't give her the kids.
Right.
Because we know what's going on. She has to go back with whoever her designated person or their designated person was. So it literally turns into this whole thing because I got out of Dodge. I'm not sticking around, bro. I'm not interviewing. I don't know nothing. I was at home. I got the hell up out of there. I clocked out and took it to the crib. But it turned into a whole thing because, of course, the mom is upset. Like, yeah, what you mean I can't have my kids? But it's like, what you mean? What you mean you can't have your kids? You know you can't have your kids.
Girl, you know the court told you that. Why'd you come
What you mean? What you mean?
Right. Did you not get the letter? Was you not at the court?
Like, girl, and I found out in the moment. I didn't even know. Like, everybody else knew. I don't know how I didn't know, but everybody else on staff knew but me. So I'm finding out as it's going down. Like, I actually left late because the police then came up there and just shut everything down. Like, they wasn't even trying to let nobody go initially. And I'm like, well, that kid ain't even in my class. So, yeah, can I go? This ain't got nothing to do with me.
I feel like danger. And I don't know.
I mean, it's different in a school because it's naturally bigger than a daycare. So it would have been easier to just say he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Versus at a daycare, you got a couple rooms to look through and you can find the kids.
You can hear, right, exactly.
Yeah. So he walks into Michael's classroom and kidnaps the principal and Michael. He walked the principal out to school. They both got into the principal's truck. Mm-hmm. He was at least somewhat smart enough to not get in his own car. He got in the principal's truck and headed to the woods. And that's where Clarence would end up handcuffing the principal to a tree, duct tape around his mouth, and he would eventually be found by the police.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Agent Joe Fitzpatrick.
I didn't write that name. I just put FBI.
I try to get as many names as possible, so if people want to Google whatever. He arrived and put an APB out for Michael. What are you doing? My bad. I just heard something in there and she disappeared. She was quiet. So when they started doing the research on Clarence and his background, this now we get into the meat of it. We might have to do a part 2. Now we get into the meat of it. So when they started doing a background check on Clarence, they found documentation from him trying to cash Tanya's insurance policy, and they noticed right away the social he gave was for a Franklin Floyd. You talk about night and day, because how do we go from Clarence to Franklin? Franklin Floyd. So this is who he actually is. So once they find that out, they find out he ain't just Clarence. He ain't just Franklin. He's Trenton Davis. He's Warren Marshall. And he's Clarence Hughes. Damn it.
He's everybody.
You talk about a multifaceted individual.
Girl.
There you go. I always say I got a couple extra personalities, but not that many.
That is
all got the same name.
Yeah, I don't even know. He just has one personality, but he's just a thief. He just stealing.
No, seriously.
You gotta make it. He said, I can't go out here being this way.
They also ended up finding out that at some point in his life he had been in a halfway house, which means at some point he had been locked up, and we're going to get into that too. They pulled his record and found that in 1962 he kidnapped a girl. 1963 he robbed a bank. 1972 he was released from the halfway house. 1973 he attacked a woman. He was arrested and posted bail. But failed to
run from 73.
This is 90.
1990.
This is 90. He was on the run from 73 to 1990.
Because now, I mean, he kidnapped the baby in 1994.
Yeah, 94.
Yeah.
20 some odd years. Was 21 years? Yeah. Because he failed to appear for court. And now that Franklin, because that's his real name. So we going to Franklin now. We ain't talking about Clarence no more. We talking about Franklin. Keep up. Franklin was on the run. Well, now that they know he was on the run, now they real worried about Michael. They was already worried because you picked the child up at gunpoint from the school. You handcuffed the principal to the tree. You like, okay, now we know this is a real issue. So the police thought it would only take about a week or so before Floyd would realize Michael was a liability and try to off him, basically. Like, he only gonna be able to get so far with him in his custody or his possession, whatever you want to call it, before it hits the news and people start putting 2 and 2 together. So in 94, this is where we get to what you was talking about earlier. We got a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
94, Tanya's best friend and her mom, Jenny, were watching the news one day when her mom noticed Tanya was the woman that was killed. But, like you said, she's like, wait a minute.
Tanya.
Well, ain't that Sharon? That ain't no damn Tanya. That's Sharon.
Why they keep calling this girl Tanya?
What is it? And they just keep saying that is Sharon. So Jenny called the hotline and told them that her name was not Tanya, but her name was Sharon Marshall. So we've gone from Tanya Hughes to Sharon Marshall. Again, try to keep up because we're not done changing names. We are not done. We're going to go back, and this is how the story was told. Don't judge me, judge your mama, like I always tell y'all. In 1994 is when Jenny and Sharon met at a student council camp.
84.
Did I say 94?
Yeah.
Let's say 84. Okay, well, 1984. Sorry. This is when they met at a student council camp. Sharon at the time was a student at Forest Park Senior High School. She had a small group of friends, and they said she kind of like gravitated more toward, I don't want to say the weird kids, but the not so popular crowd of kids. Like everybody knew Sharon, but she was
smart kids.
Yeah. She was around them because they said she was very smart. She was in the science club and she wanted to go to Georgia Tech. She had plans, but we're gonna get back into.
Well, she got accepted to Georgia Tech. Not that she wanted to go. She got accepted for aerospace engineer, so she's smart.
Okay, I missed that part. I thought I had wrote it down, but I didn't.
No, she got
what she wanted to go for. So, and you know, any type of engineering, you do have to be some kind of smart. So, tis what it is.
You gotta be motivated, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm not engineering.
You said what?
You gotta be motivated, that's for sure, because I'm not engineering nothing.
Anything that involves that many numbers and it ain't my paycheck, I don't have time. Because that's what engineering is. It's so many numbers. And I just, no. I mean, I'm sure they checks be looking wonderful, but no. Mm-hmm. Her senior year, you know, yearbooks, you put your senior, you do your picture for the yearbook, and you can do a half page, a quarter page, full page, you know. You just don't be laughing because it ain't funny. Ain't nothing funny.
James was happy for his daughter. Daughter's past life.
Okay. He got, so wait, we Marshall now? Ain't that who he is? Who's we now?
Sharon is.
No, he's the dad. We're not Clarence no more. Yeah, we Marshall now. No, Franklin. That's his name. I'm getting confused too. Franklin. I'm trying to remember the name he gave, his real name, because that's what we're gonna stick with because I can't keep changing his name. So Franklin took out a full page ad, which is fine because people do it. But the problem with Franklin's full page ad was the picture he chose to put of Sharon in the yearbook was giving covered Playboy bunny.
It was like giving, like maybe she wanted to be an model. It was very, you know, like
too grown for a senior picture in the yearbook.
Yeah.
No. Now, and her friend Jenny said she was like, a lot of people's parents that took out pages in the yearbook, they mostly use baby pictures from their childhood, family pictures, like normal stuff, like showing them growing up kind of thing. Now he showed her grown. He got straight to the point.
I mean, her what he said was nice though, you know.
What did he say?
I think he said like something like, Sharon, we wish you the best of luck at Georgia Tech. Like, you know, like, I'm proud of you, love dad, or whatever. I mean, it was a nice, the saying would have been like, oh, that's nice for the dad. It was the picture that would have been like, oh, so is she going to mock?
That also makes me wonder, did he even have any pictures of her when she was a kid? Now that we're talking about it.
Oh, he probably, well, yeah, because they had that one together.
Oh, yeah, the main picture on the thing. You're right. But Sharon's friends always thought
he was a weirdo.
Franklin was strict and weird. Now I grew up with a strict daddy. She can tell you that. My dad was he was strict of the strict, but he wasn't weird. He was just weird. Strict. He was a little mean sometimes, but he wasn't weird.
He's scary. He's scary.
but he wasn't weird. He's
not
still
weird. Yeah.
The first time Jenny met Sharon's dad, this had me cracking up. I'm not finna shine. The first time Jenny met Franklin, he brought her over to Jenny's house, and the first thing he did was ask Jenny's dad for a loan.
Ain't that crazy?
Sir, I don't even know you. I don't even know your daughter. I asked him, when is my birthday? Because if you can't answer that question, no. And still, just no, I don't know you. So, of course, the dad said no, because I don't know you.
I mean, who wouldn't say no? Sure.
How much you need?
Yeah. Hell, I was going to say.
So, as Jenny and Sharon are getting to know each other, Sharon told Jenny that her mom was hit and killed on a bridge when she was in the 2nd grade. Sharon was in charge of cooking and wasn't really allowed to talk on the phone, like to the point. And I remember doing this, but it was like, because we had to be off the phone at 10. So it's like 10:30, 11 or later, because I know my mom would probably sleep. I'm just on the phone sneaking. And then you hear him pick up the phone, you hear him hang up. Been there, done that. But it was different.
And then I hate when Granny got the phone. You gotta actually hang it up or push the beep. I used to
I started doing, because we at first, before my mom got me a cordless phone, because she got tired of every time, her words, not mine. She got tired every time she got ready to use the phone, I was on it. So she eventually got me my own line. Before cell phones, you had your own line. You was doing it if you had your own phone line. So but my phone time was still the same. You need to be off the phone by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what I would start doing before I got a cordless, I would just unplug the cord out of the base of the phone. So when I hang up, she couldn't hear me click it. That's what I was doing. So she's sneaking around just to have friends. It's not like she's talking to boys or nothing. Just to be able to talk to her friends was an issue for Franklin. So she would tell Jenny not to call that much unless she knew ahead of time. Not you got to schedule your phone calls with your friends. Unless she knew ahead of time that she was calling. So for that reason, Sharon would call Jenny the majority of the time. And then, like I said, when he would walk in, she would hang up. Jenny remembered one time she called when Sharon told her, oh, no. Let me rub your back.
Yeah, you went too far.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, Jenny stayed over Sharon's house. Why would you do this? I don't.
Because that's your friend.
The man is asking my dad for money. I don't want to say
you ain't did nothing to me.
I was poor. I was like, I don't want to go over there. They probably don't got no food. Like, and that's the first thing I want to do. I want a snack.
That's you, because you're you.
Girl, you gotta come over here. But I'm sure she was like, come over, spend the night with me.
Like I said, that's her friend.
Yeah, but no, girl, you ain't got no food over there. I can't come over there. And she said the dad, they were in the room just talking.
They were changing into their pajamas.
And the dad, she opens the drawer and she sees like sexy underwear and like
lingerie, let's call it what it is.
Type, and she was like, wow, why would you have this? And then my dad bought it for me. Yeah. I
remember being surprised that my dad bought me a bikini bottom swimsuit.
Oh my God, I remember this swimsuit.
When I went to the beach for the 4th of July, and I was too ashamed to even, I had to get the wraparound and I wore that wrap piece. That shocked me.
Yeah. Because
when he asked me to get my first acrylic set and he was so bent against it, that shocked me. Yeah. If he would have bought me lingerie, I'd have ran away. Period.
I would have been like, yo, daddy bought you this. Oh no, call Johnny.
Girl. Johnny, because I like the swimsuit, and I told him I wanted a boy short, even now as a grown woman, and they don't make them like they used to. Yeah. I would rather wear a boy short swimsuit than a bikini bottom. It's never been my preference, and I'm 38 years old. Huh?
Not the bikini. It's weird that your dad would buy you lingerie. Like that's.
It wasn't even. Yes, it's definitely weird he's buying lingerie, but I'm saying in terms of Jim, and again, you knew the strict kind of parent he was.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you be buying this? Why would he buy you?
Because he was like, well, you can just wear the swimsuit. Nah, we finna get a wraparound piece to go with that, buddy. I'm not finna. And the thing was, for me, because I knew I was a little more developed than a lot of my friends were. So I was a lot more conscious about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was a different time. I wore that swimsuit, I think, that one time, and that was it. So they're getting ready for bed. She pulls out the lingerie. As they're changing clothes, Dad comes in the room and just stands in the doorway and is just watching them change their clothes. That's when I would have left.
I would jump out the goddamn window.
She still stayed the night. And if I'm remembering correctly, were they not doing the nasty when she was on the floor sleep?
Yeah, he came in and he doing this, and they never talked about it again. Never talked about it again. That would be the first thing I came home and told. Is that
Granny?
And you know, Granny, she gonna say, "Oh no, let me call CPS."
Come back over there. We finna call the police. Because why is he doing that to that girl?
Yeah, no.
So no, he watching them getting undressed, and as Jenny's on the floor asleep. She said like she had a little pallet or something on the floor. She sleep. Sharon's in her bed, and in the middle of the night, she hears Dad come in the room, and they doing a nasty walk like she ain't even there.
Well, don't say they're doing nasty, because that's like saying like they just in love and doing nasty.
They was fucking.
Right, he was molesting her.
They was fucking.
Yeah, you can't say that, Saida.
He was molesting her.
Yes, he was raping her.
I was trying not to say that word.
Yeah, well,
they will flag us for that. All my cuss words, and they'll get us for that one.
Sorry, take that one out.
Yeah,
he was R-wording her.
I was say all my cuss words, and they'll flag us for that word right there.
Okay.
Right, but no, he taking advantage. We'll put it that way. Molesting, taking advantage. R-wording her, however you want to put it. So now we're in 1986.
Graduation. Before graduation, she called her. We're moving away. She was pregnant.
No, that's the wrong year. I just realized what I did. That is not the right year. Sorry. I have to call that person back. No, I had put the wrong year. So anyway, yeah, Jenny gets a call from Sharon, and it's Sharon telling Jenny she is pregnant.
They're moving away. She won't be
and she was upset because she wanted to go to college, and her dad was just like, no. So he packed her up, and they moved. We're going to go back to 1994 because I had the wrong year written down. Jenny met with Joe Fitzpatrick, that's the detective for the FBI, for questioning, and they told her not only was Sharon dead, but she wasn't who Jenny thought she was. After looking at pictures and confirming that was Sharon, she also identified the man in the pictures as her father, Marshall, aka Franklin, aka all them other people. This whole time, though, the police thought Warren was her husband. And I feel like as a detective of any kind, FBI, local, whatever, that has to get frustrating. Because you be thinking like you halfway done, and then you get a whole new set of information. Say what?
You said Warren was the husband. Who's Warren?
Clarence. What his name? No. Clarence. Warren was one of his names. It's the same person. Oh. It's all the same person. Because you be daddy husband.
Yeah.
Look, listen now. Hell.
Sorry.
Tell me to get his name together. Because what?
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can here with his multiple personalities.
Was not really the husband that she knew was the father. And then they learned that ain't the case either, because when Sharon was born or would be conceived, he was in prison.
And how they came up with these, or how I'm going to say Clarence came up with these names. Clarence Franklin, just keep up, people. The dad. We're just the dad. Keep up. / husband. The dad husband. 1989. I don't know if they were just walking through a cemetery and was like, oh, we gonna go. Like, why were you even there? But Clarence got the right idea to name her Sharon, to name Sharon Tanya, and to give himself the name Clarence off of some random tombstones they found.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't just I guess you didn't have Google back then. You could have looked through the yellow pages, something. You just walk through the graveyard. Like, everything about Buddy is just not right. Because who does that? So they got married under the new assumed names in New Orleans. And then I wrote, that man married his daughter.
He did.
So police start trying to piece together what happened to Sharon between high school and her death, because again, he's been on the run 20 something odd years, or almost 20 some odd years, when she dies and all this is coming out. So there's a whole space of time that's unaccounted for, essentially. So after telling Jenny they were moving out west after she found out she was pregnant, because they were supposed to move to Arizona, but somehow they ended up in Florida. Yeah, because that's what Sharon told Jenny, was they were moving out west to Arizona or whatever, but somehow they ended up in Tampa, Florida. In '88, Sharon walked into a strip club, and this is where we get into that gentleman's thing, for the first time. Immediately, people could tell she was super young. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem in some cases. But again, this is the 80s, the late 80s at that. That booger sugar was a big thing.
It's still a big thing.
Like, girl, it's came back like it's the 80s.
Girl.
Because I've been sharing them TikToks of Jenny and Forrest, and I just be like, good grief, Jenny. Let me move on, because she about to get mad, y'all.
Jenny.
So while she's working at this strip club, she gets to know people, and I think they call them the house mom, like the lady that's over all the girls at the clubs. She builds a certain type of rapport with this lady, and that's when the dad tells her to inquire about the parties that one of her co-workers was set up, which was the lady of the house, or the house mom, and tell her she was available. So then you go ahead and carry that one, because we had got ahead of ourselves.
Oh, well, so she lets her come to these parties, and at one of these parties, she says, one of the guys come up to her and say, you need to go get Sharon, what's her name? Tanya, back there trying to offer sex for money.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? And so she goes and she finds her, and lo and behold, she is in some man's face trying to offer her a blowjob, I guess, or a BJ. Sorry, man. So
well, that's somebody. Sorry.
She asked her, like, why are you doing this? And she was just like, oh,
my dad told me to.
My dad told me
to. He bought me some condoms to bring with me.
Rubbers, and she just was like, she was outdone.
It's knowing that whole story, but still flabbergasted at the fact that even though I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. Go ahead.
Well, I do like it though that this woman here from Orlando, was it Orlando?
No, Tampa.
She was like, she was ready to give it to Clarence Franklin. She was,
because ready. Who does that to their child? Who does that?
She she was trying to protect her. I mean, like trying to keep her away from him when he came to the club. She would like, no, you leave, and like put her in her car and take her. So I mean, she tried, but when all you know is this.
I don't even think it was all she knew. Again, she couldn't leave with her baby, and she knew she couldn't leave the baby with him without her there. Like, I feel like the only reason, because she had the sources, the resources, she had the means, she had people that would have helped her get out, and I'm sure she knew that. But I can't leave without my baby, and I feel like that was what it was more than anything. I can't leave without my baby. Yeah, because he was like, I can't even run to the store real quick with my baby, because he knew if he did that, she was likely to not come back. He knew that. He knew, because you like 1,000 years old? No,
yeah,
she's definitely not coming back. So they were living in a trailer at the time, Sharon and Clarence. Because it's just the name changes. We're gonna stick with Clarence. Sharon and Clarence, they were living in a trailer. Again, Sharon didn't have a whole lot of friends except for Cheryl. And Cheryl would stop by Sharon's house frequently, so that the other girls at the strip, Sharon will stop at Cheryl will stop at Sharon's house frequently. That's why we don't need to take a month. This right here. Because what am I doing? I don't even be stumbling over myself like this. Why would I write that?
Right, what?
It doesn't matter because we're not gonna go there. You can tell it's been a month, child. This is ghetto. This is so ghetto.
Very confident.
Never again, because I don't be stumbling over myself like this.
Yeah, the show. I mean, the show was all over the place.
Yeah, it just. Listen. I give what I get. Okay, giving you the best of me right now. We're gonna have to cut it short because we push an hour. However, we're gonna slide through this real quick. So one day, Michael's babysitter, and I believe that was Cheryl, because I think that's where I confused myself. The babysitter that would come and watch Michael while they were out doing whatever they did, she was starting to watch a movie that Marshall had put in the VHS player. Got to be a certain age to know what that is. And they were going to record this particular movie because back then you didn't go get a blank tape. Who does that? You find the movie that you like the least. You stick that paper in there and you record over that movie, damn it. Who buys blank VHS tapes? Not us. But before they could get into the movie good or what they were watching good, a frame of Cheryl and Sharon, so it was not the babysitter, Cheryl, one of the girls from the strip club, and Sharon comes up with them on the beach, topless.
Yeah.
This is Dad recording videos of his daughter and her friend topless.
Mm-hmm. And mind you, the babysitter's watching this as she's watching his child, but the babysitter is 14, 13.
Yeah, she's a child herself.
She's just, a couple trailers down she lives in, but she's a baby. Like, why would this be a video of choice for the baby to watch as she's watching your son? Like,
right. Yeah. So some kind of way it gets out that this tape exists. And Cheryl was later confronted by the house mom or the whatever she is, at the strip club about the tape. And she said it was Marshall's idea and he planned to submit it to Playboy.
Yeah.
She then said Marshall was trying to have sex with her. She said she didn't want to and was fighting him off, but then he became violent, which they tend to usually do when you're fighting them off. Old girl was like, you need to stay away from them. Don't go over there. You need to be around there. You need to hang around her. You don't need to talk to him. Fuck the baby. All that. Just, you don't need to be over there. Period. Right after this tape was found out, people started getting wind of it. Marshall and Sharon was nowhere to be found.
Or Cheryl.
She didn't disappear right away with them. That's not what I got. Like, she disappeared, but not with them.
Okay.
Well,
you'll see at the end of your note.
I'm gonna find out next week because we almost had an hour. We promised it ain't gonna be another month because I don't like how I'm fumbling over myself. First of all, I've been doing too much public speaking my whole life to be doing all that. I done gave church speeches and stood up in front of classes and singing, and now I can't talk.
A long time, and this story is like back and forth, different.
It's all over the place. Yeah. So just like with Natalia Grace, y'all gonna have to get a part 2 of this one.
No. That one was horrible too.
That one was just a mess. This is 2 though. We ain't even got meat of this one.
Yeah, this is horrible.
But as always, check us out on Facebook, No Crime After Dark. TikTok, No Crime After Dark. Instagram, No Crime After Dark _podcast. Twitter, which is under the new name X.
Oh, I was like,
no. Let me finish. Okay, which is under the new name X. We're just not. We're on there, but just don't look for no posts on there. Because I was already not with it when it was just Twitter, and then when I found out they changed the name to X, I was like, you know what? We're not doing this today. We are not doing this today. But we are definitely about to get back on our weekly stuff.
Yes, we are.
I'm finally over my cold. DJ is settled in school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're because we got a middle schooler now. We're almost in high school here. So, but we are back to it.
Baby.
Stay tuned for the boutique. I know I keep saying it, but like I told y'all, life is out here lifing. But I got some stuff in the works for Halloween, so be ready because I think that's the perfect time to do it. But in the meantime, till next week for part 2 of Girl in the Picture. Stay safe. Don't marry your daddy.
That girl. Don't
And do your best to tell people your real name if you know it.
Please.
Until next time, we'll see y'all later.
Tell me.